I'm here with Luna today. Luna is our 9-year-old Siberian Husky, and she was kind enough to let me wake her up from her nap so I could use her as an illustration. Luna is currently sitting in one of her safe places, and there she goes, right down the stairs, and apparently she doesn't feel very safe on video. But when there's a loud noise, a lot of dogs are like this. When there's a loud noise like thunder or there's lightning or anything like that, they get scared, and so they want to go to a place that makes them feel as safe as possible. And for Luna, she has 3 of those places. She either goes to a closet, or she goes to a bathroom, or she goes to her kennel. She doesn't go in her kennel very often, but it's a safe place for her. And I thought you'd probably rather see her kennel rather than see one of our closets or, or see the bathroom where she hangs out. But she has a safe place. And Psalm 16 reminds us that you do too. That there is a place of security, a place where you can always feel like your life is in a secure position. And that place happens to be wherever you happen to be right now. And now some of you might push back on that because you're thinking, no, that's not true. Because you're going through times of loss or grief or sadness or confusion or pain or guilt, and you don't feel very secure at all. Keep in mind that David is the one who wrote Psalm 16. And as far as we know, there weren't very many times at all in his life where he where he looked out at his life around him and saw things that made him feel secure or felt very secure, that he was dealing with all of those things throughout his life. There were very few times in David's life when we know that everything was good. And yet consider what he wrote in Psalm 16. In verse 5, he says, "Lord, you have assigned me my portion and my cup. You have made my lot secure." There are 2 parts to that. Lord, you have assigned me my portion and my cup. David was acknowledging that in some way the Lord was very active. He wasn't just in the same place where David was, but he was very active in getting David to the place where he was. He was aware of David. He knew where he was, and he was active in his life. In the same way that you might connect it with like the Romans chapter 8 passage, where it says, "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him." That in some way, beyond our knowledge, beyond our understanding, God is working through all things in our lives, even the difficult things, in a way that blesses his people. David was able to see that in his life, wherever he was, even if he wasn't able to see what God was doing in the moment. And because of that, he was able to say the second part. He says, "You have made my lot secure." Knowing that the Lord was active in his life made him feel secure. And why was that? Because of what David says in the next verse. He says, "The boundary lines have fallen in pleasant places. Surely I have a delightful inheritance." He looked at his life in the big perspective, looking at the end that the Lord had revealed to him, which is the same end that the Lord has revealed to you. The ending of knowing that you end up in a place where there's no more death, where there's no more crying, where there's no more tears, where there's no more pain. That's the big perspective. God doesn't pretend that your life is always comfortable. He doesn't pretend that everything that you see in your life always makes you feel good. And he doesn't want you to pretend that either. He knows the reality. He just wants you to know that when you are going through your pain, when you're going through your difficulty, when you're going through your grief, God is thinking of you with love. And in ways that maybe he only knows, he's leading you to the place where you will see his love completely. And how do you know that the Lord is thinking about you when you're going through your pain? Because the Lord was thinking about you when he was going through his pain, when he was hanging on the cross, when people looked at him and didn't feel very encouraged at all. But he was thinking of you. You were on his mind, and he was guaranteeing your place in his eternal kingdom. He knows you're going to be there. That's why he said to his disciples, when he talked about the people who belong to him, he said, "No one can snatch them out of my hand. No one can snatch them out of my Father's hand. No one. And nothing." Whatever you see, whatever you feel, you don't have to base your feelings of security on those things. God gives us another way. He gives us Jesus and the eternal perspective that we have through all that has been done on your behalf. Rest well tonight, my friends.